It's a long way to the top. If you want to rock and roll, you want to rock and roll? Driving on the highway, going to a show. Stopping on the byway, playing rock and roll. Getting round, getting stoned, getting beat up, broken bone, getting high, getting shook. Watch all your folks, it's harder than it looks. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll. It's easy to do one night stands. Try being a rock and roll band. It's a long way to the top if you wanna rock and roll.
Good evening, race fans. I'm your host, Caden Reif, and welcome back to another installment of the 2006 season of the NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series. We're here from Talladega. It'll be race number 8, I believe. Yes, race 8 of this 2006 season, here from the Aaron's 499 for a bit of super speedway plate racing action as we take you to the track side for your starting lineup, as always, as we get set to go here in just a little while. Jeff Gordon in the 24 will be your pole sitter in that DuPont Chevrolet, and starting side by side with him on the front row is the 8 of Martin Truex Jr. Looking down the rest of the grid, as Kurt Busch in the 01 will start in the 3rd position, and Jimmy Johnson will be in 4th in the 48. 5th place belongs to Kevin Harvick in the 20, side by side with Mike Bliss, his teammate, in 6th. Casey Kane will be in the 7th position, and Casey Atwood in 8th. 9th belongs to Jamie McMurray in the 40, and Robbie Gordon will be in 10th in the 31 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 11th, and Ryan Newman from P12. Chase Montgomery will be in the 13th spot, and Brian Vickers in P14, Jack Sprague 15th place, and 16th belonging to Greg Biffle. 17th will be Ricky Hendrick in the 5, and Tony Stewart will be in the 18th spot, Kyle Busch in 19th, and Jason Leffler starting from 20th. 21st will be Bobby Labonte in the 18, and Mark Martin will be 22nd. 23rd is going to be Carl Edwards, side by side with his teammate Matt Kenseth in 24th. Christian Elder will be 25th in the 0 car, and John Wood will be in 26th, Jeff Burton in 27th, and 28th belonging to Terry Labonte in the 14. Scott Wimmer will be 29th, and 30th will be Todd Bodine in the 77, Regan Smith 31st, and Hank Parker Jr. in 32nd. 33rd will be Sterling Marlin in the 22 car, and John Andretti 34th. Ricky Rudd will be the P35 machine, and 36th to Scott Riggs. Jeff Green will be in the 37th spot, Jeremy Mayfield 38th. 39th, Eric Norris in the 51, and 40th, Ron Hornaday Jr. And rounding out the field in the back row, it'll be Elliott Sadler in the 83 and Morgan Shepherd in the 89. Back to 42 cars this week after Calder Park's road course last week had just 39, and the most famous words in motorsports in just a moment here from Talladega.
Drivers, start your engines!
Field of 42 stock cars roars to life here from Talladega. It'll be 57 laps, your race length here tonight, as Gordon leads the field off of pit lane, and we get started on this long pace lap. Getting to the point of the season where you can look at the point standings and how everyone's running so far, and maybe get a good idea of how the season's going to run out. Hendrick has had a lot of fast race cars on the racetrack so far this year. No surprises with Gordon taking pole, and Jimmy Johnson leading the points. He's already won 3 of 7 this season. Hendrick has been the garage to contend with to open up this year.
Lots of teams. The other thing, though, about this race is that, as last season has taught us, the first 8 races aren't always that indicative of who's coming and who's going. At this point, Kenny Wallace was fighting for a title last year. At this point last year, Dave Blaney was sitting in the top 10 in points. A whole lot can change here, but you can start making judgments, and there's enough of a sample size to where if your team's having an issue, you can't really call it luck anymore.
Yeah, it's this point in the season where you start to look around a little bit, but some drivers that can be outstanding in certain moments, both up the table and down the table, as you mentioned, the 2 N77 both up front in the title mix at the start of last year, as far as around maybe 15 races or so into that year. And of course the 16 and 24 got off to some slow starts and gonna have to do a re-rack here as problems prior to the green flag, usual NR stuff, so break character for that for just a second. But either way, gives you a chance to look at some of the drivers who usually you get a couple of front runners who are expected to be up front that do run up front. Of course, Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon heading the championship fight early. It is only 7 races, so more of just the points lead instead of a proper championship fight. Robbie Gordon sitting 3rd in the standings. Bobby Labonte in the 18 is 4th, and Tony Stewart in the 42 car in that new garage sits in 5th. So you see a lot of the normal front runners up front, of course, but a couple of outstanders as well. You see guys like Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's a little bit of a surprise, although Yates a competitive garage for sure. He sits, that'd be 8th in points for the 88 team. Then Mike Bliss around 14th and Sprague 15th, so a couple of drivers that you would expect to see kind of around that range, maybe a little bit higher than they could be expected to be running, of course. So it's just a matter of trying to pick out the patterns early and try and negate the problems that you have at the start of the year. Of course, it can be an issue for guys getting started in the year and kind of pick it up a little later. We saw a lot of that last year from some of the best drivers on the field. So it's just going to be a matter of finding a rhythm when you can and stopping the bleeding before it's too late. Either way, pace car peels in as we head into the tri-oval, and the 24 of Jeff Gordon will lead us to the green flag here. 57 laps here from Talladega. 24-8 your front row into the box, and the green flag will wave here, and we are racing here from Talladega. First lap completed as we round turn 4 with Jeff Gordon, your pole sitter, leading the opening lap here from Talladega. Everybody getting sorted out. A little bit of 3 wide here and there in the mid-pack, but nothing too notable as the lead 6 or so have singled out to start this race. And we settle in for the long haul now.
Another storyline I didn't get to touch on during the initial pace laps is the fact that Chevrolet has won every single time these Cup drivers have hit the track this season, other than Carl Edwards winning the first duel. Every points-paying race, and all but one of the non-points-paying exhibitions, have been won by a Chevrolet this season. Do you think that changes this week?
Gonna be tough to see, and we'll find out. Of course, it's really anybody's game at a racetrack like this, and we see a lot of action in the midfield with all these guys moving around and seeing rare front runners at a racetrack like this. Of course, Talladega, a little bit less of a shifting over the course of the race than its younger brother, or not younger brother, rather smaller brother, Daytona. So it's different to see with we get the front runners up front and these guys that you usually don't expect to see up front that find their way through the pack. Of course, Chase Montgomery, the first of which, he's in 5th right now, though he goes to the outside. And, of course, yeah, Chevrolet has just dominated the early section of this season, and it's worth considering, you know, the manufacturer dealings in the middle of the garage and everybody working out their situation as we approach next year with the Gen 5 for the first time, what everybody's plan is, and, of course, Chevrolet really bringing a strong car to the racetrack this year.
I mean, you have Pontiac that's been very open about their plans, that they're going to focus really hard on getting the G8 ready. But Chevrolet's just out here saying there's still a championship this year to win.
And who can really blame them? They've been really looking good this season. They've got some of the best drivers on the grid and some of the best teams on the grid, so it's not a surprise that they're really showing their muscle early. We're seeing a lot of stacking up here into turn 3, though everybody sorts it out still 3 wide. That was Edwards, Montgomery, and Busch on the outside, getting a little tight there heading into turn 3, but nonetheless, everybody sorts it out, mostly 3 wide throughout the field. Coming up to complete lap number 4 as Kevin Harvick has led a couple laps in a row now.
The thing about Dega is that it's all about finding your friends on the track. You're not going to win a race here alone.
Definitely not, and 2 Gibbs cars leading this race right now, the 20 and 18, so finding some friends early. And of course, as you just said, that's an important aspect of this racetrack.
But arguably just as, if not even more important, is just keeping your nose clean.
Absolutely.
It's not uncommon for people to be uncompetitive all day and leave this place with a top 15 just because they couldn't get involved in a wreck.
Yeah, it's definitely trying to keep it clean, and of course, waiting to see what kind of Talladega race you get usually, because we've seen multiple different sort of dynamics that form out of these races. Sometimes you get wrecks early, sometimes the field keeps it together until maybe lap 40, sometimes they don't wreck at all, so interesting to see how it'll play out this time. And of course, one of the biggest aspects of that helps is the fact that green flag pit stops could be a thing today, and it'll be interesting to see how the field sorts that out. As always, people never really talk about that at the plate tracks, but it's one of the most important aspects of this racing facility.
And a very deceptively difficult one, that. You're having to go from 190, 195, 200 miles an hour down to 55 in just the span of a few football fields.
Yeah, and of course, the team owners usually bring some smaller brake packages to these racetracks as well to save on weight. So usually it's really a struggle on such small brakes to get into the pit lane at a racetrack like this, not lock it up. You're trying to save your tires especially, because usually not really much of a concern, but if you flat spot one of those tires, it can be a real big issue. You'll have to make a pit stop, tire change on your pit stop that you usually wouldn't. So it's just a struggle at this racetrack to try and get into that pit lane, and something that these teams circle that you might not think about.
Yeah, Talladega, everyone talks about it as the cathedral of speed, but it isn't what you do when you're going 200 that wins you races at this track. It's the things you do when you're going 50 miles an hour, or when you're going from 60 to that 200. Lots of moving on the restarts, lots of moving on pit stops. You mess up strategy and suddenly you're out of the pack fighting for P35.
Absolutely. As a lot of the veterans of the sport like to say about a place like this in Daytona, it's a 200-mile-an-hour chess match. Scott Wimmer in the 23 car, your race leader. 7 laps completed, halfway through lap number 8 right now, as that 23 leads down the back stretch. 2 going to throw a big block on the 22 of Sterling Marlin. That is Regan Smith going for the lead on the low line. Seen a lot of shiftings up front. We haven't talked about the actual racing on the racetrack a whole lot, but seen quite a few race leaders to start this one. Rookie Regan Smith in that Penske 2 out front right now, in front of Sterling Marlin and Ricky Rudd, couple of veterans right behind him.
I mean, if you're gonna, that's good company to have pushing you.
Without a shadow of a doubt. Now 8 laps completed as the field crosses the line. Everybody in this 42-car field still a part of this pack. And just trying to get a beat on what your car feels like in this race. A lot of the underdogs up front right now, you see those shiftings throughout the field and the constant field churn that happens. And a lot of them up front right now. Here comes the 22 of Marlin to try to take the race lead as he takes Rudd in the 33 with him. Atwood in the 30 on the bottom, as well as Jeff Green and Todd Bodine in the 77. The front 5 on that bottom line. A lot of Pontiacs up front right now.
There's just it's a lot of shuffling, and another thing that Pontiac has really focused on this season is getting more teams in the fold and improving cooperation. We're seeing a camaraderie with the teams that we haven't seen since the likes of Dodge in 2001, with the teams acting as a single unit.
Definitely, we've seen a lot of that, especially on the lower echelons of the Pontiac teams. We've seen plenty of them kind of partner up, and of course, as you mentioned, they picked up a lot of teams going into this season, specifically in Busch, but we saw a couple new organizations making the move over to them. Of course, Hall of Fame Racing, that 96 car driven by Jeff Green there up front, already led a couple laps this season at Daytona, and running in the second position at Casey Atwood right now. And of course, the APR team in the 33 made the switch and took along with them the new organization in the form of Labonte Incorporated, driven by team owner Terry Labonte at the moment. Bottom of 3 wide for third right now. Just seeing a lot of those new teams join Pontiac, and kind of with the anticipation of going over to the G8. They really wanted to focus on the Gen 5, which we're expecting to see some information on that in the near future, so it'll be interesting to see the reveal for that, with all the manufacturer's plans going into this new generation of race car.
We've been hearing from the Ford camp to expect a surprise.
That we definitely have, and it'll be interesting to see exactly what comes through with those teams going into next year, of course. 10 laps completed, coming up on completing the 11th, as we are on the 11th lap right now. It's Casey Atwood in the 30s, still comfortably up front, led a couple laps in a row now from that Realtree Chevrolet. 14, 21, 26, and 96, your top 5 at the line. As we see a lot more unusual front runners at the moment. Bit of 4 wide in the midfield. That is Marlin in the 22 all the way up top by himself at the moment as they leave turn number 2.
Just no man's land right up there.
Little bit of brush indoors. 99 and 43, Burton and Kyle Busch getting into each other. They're going to go into the wall, and that'll be a crash. Jeff Gordon into the fence. Kurt Busch involved in it as well, or excuse me, Tony Stewart. And the caution flag is going to come out. Kurt Busch narrowly missed that one. Don't know why I mistook the 42 for the 01, but we are under caution for the first time here today as they wreck in the back of the field.
And miserable season for Jeff Burton just gets worse.
Jeremy Mayfield in the 26 has the lead at the caution flag, and you saw Jeff Gordon, the 24, one of the main points leaders, was second in points to Jimmy Johnson, his teammate coming into this race. Involved heavily in that one, went nose first into the wall, and we have our first caution of the day. So we'll take a look back at the replay of this one. Usual suspect just running out of room, guys fighting for real estate in the middle of the racetrack, went in 4 wide, and the 43 and 99 got hooked on each other. Marlin into the wall. 42 got a piece of that and went down into the 24 of Gordon, who got hooked straight into the outside safer barrier. Pretty tough hit for him.
Major credit to Montgomery and Dale Jr. for avoiding that wreck, especially Montgomery.
Absolutely. 68 just about slipped around the 24 car there. That was very close. I think Dale Jr. might have gotten brushed on the door, but otherwise mostly clean. Yeah, it took a little tiny chunk out of the right front. But other than that, about a 5 or 6 car crash, 4 cars majorly involved, 42, 43, 22, and 24. The main parties in that accident. Taking us under caution on lap number 13. Going to see a handful of drivers stay out here. But all the main race leaders are going to pit in here. The 21 of Andretti from 5th is going to be the first car to stay out.
Interesting strategy call, I must say.
We usually see a little bit of that at this racetrack. Here is Mayfield to lead the field into the pit lane. Fuel only for the majority of these drivers who were in the lead of this race as he leaves his pit box. Seeing a lot of traffic on pit road here. And everybody will find their way out. And it will be a close one between the 14 and 48. Not sure which one of those guys won the race off of pit road, but about 10 cars, it'll be 11, stay out under that yellow flag. We'll take you to intermission here from Talladega. John Andretti in the 21 car, now your race leader. Lap number 14 at the moment. We'll be right back. Back from intermission here at Talladega as we get set to go once more. 21 car going to be your race leader. 11 car has stayed out on that caution flag. It'll be 21, 81, 96, 55, 77, your top 5. And top 10 goes Parker Jr., Biffle, Kane, Labonte, and Kurt Busch. Ryan Newman, the last of the drivers to stay out, and Jimmy Johnson will be in the 12th position. Won the race off of pit road in that 48 car as we come to the restart here. 57 blew up under yellow flag and is out of the race. The 24 also out in 42nd place, so a tough race for Jeff Gordon, who entered this race in a pretty good spot in the standings. Might see a couple other drivers fail to meet minimum speed here. Of course, Tony Stewart missing his hood, but nonetheless, pace car in on the left. 21 leads the field to the green. It'll be lap number 17 as we get ready to go here. And we are underway. Stay in line. Good start by second place Mike Bliss as he pulls up to the back bumper of the 21 with the 96 right behind him.
Everyone seems to be playing nice still.
Not anymore though. Here comes Mike Bliss on the bottom. Green tried to follow him, but Sprague jumped out a little early to try to get underneath for the 3rd spot. But 55 will get underneath that 96. Mike Bliss takes the lead in turn 3. Headed through 3 and 4 as we're all the way back up to speed now. Tough scenes here in the back of the field for all these guys who were damaged. Seeing a bit of a struggle for the 99 car, 43 without much pace either, as well as the 42 of Stewart, who is really dropping off the pace here, so gonna see a DNF for the 42 of Stewart, who is immediately going to pull it off the racetrack. Seeing a couple guys who were up there in points get involved in that one. Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart, 2 top 5 points drivers, who got involved in that one to bring out that first caution. Nonetheless, Mike Bliss still the leader. Casey Kane trying to take away second place and does. That 38 of Kane, we've talked about him a lot and how he's been looking for his first Cup Series win for quite a long time now. He has exactly one Top 3 Series win to his name, and it was at this very racetrack in the Busch Series a couple of years ago, in which he won his first Busch Series race. So maybe that's in the cards today, running second right now, looking like he's got a strong race car early. And looking like Burton and Busch both way off the pace themselves, getting outran by the 22, who's all by himself. So it'll be the end of the day for the 43 and 99. 3 wide for the race lead meanwhile, as here come Kane and Ryan Newman in the 12 on the bottom trying to take the lead away. Has help from Biffle in the 16. But Biffle will take the bottom himself.
And he will take the lead.
Has the lead by a nose at the stripe. 14 of Terry Labonte right behind him. Defending winner at this racetrack is Terry Labonte. Won here last year in the fall in the 44 car for Hendrick. Knows his way around this place for sure. Here's Atwood on the bottom for second. Biffle been a bit of a contrast to the struggles of Roush early in this season. Roush has had a lot of trouble in their garage trying to find their footing this year. But Biffle has really stood out well in front of everyone else, along with Carl Edwards, who is 11th in the points. Greg Biffle entered this race sitting in 6th in that 16 car, although he had been higher before that. Lost 3 points positions last week out at Calder Park. So just trying to pick up some lost ground. And has had a really good start to his season. Greg Biffle obviously has emerged as one of the best drivers in the Cup Series garage. And this year looking like it's been no different for him. He's had a great start to this season. But everybody going to turn that narrative as I'm talking about it. Here's Casey Atwood in the 30 underneath for the lead.
It's 2 Fords just getting abandoned by a line of Chevys.
3 Chevys on the bottom, 35-20, 3 separate teams on that bottom lane, as Kevin Harvick trying to get underneath the 5 for second and does. Couple of cars who have lost the draft. 22-88. Dale Jr. with a bit of damage on the right side from that earlier accident. 17 of Kenseth and 89 of Morgan Shepherd all out of the pack right now. 40-78, 68 and 8, roughly holding on to the back end of this field right now. Doing their best to try to hang on to the draft. You talk about Jeff Burton's rough start to the season. That 17 has really had a struggle fight of a year. Kenseth, not even top 30 in owner's points entering this week, as we talk about Roush's struggles this weekend.
And that's really that's going to really put a hamper on these. Matt Kenseth, not really known as a specifically fast driver on Saturday, and it might mean that Roush is going to have to focus on qualifying setup.
Absolutely. So it's a tough scene for them, trying to figure out a way to stay on their feet this season. 78 car of Hornaday Jr. reporting a vibration might explain why he's a little bit of a ways off this pack with McMurray right behind him, though they are just about holding on to the draft right now. Battle for the lead is continuing with this slightly shrunken field. It's the 31 of Robbie Gordon and Daytona 500 winner Bobby Labonte right behind him now into second place. As these two run up front, approaching halfway. It'll be halfway at the line here.
Correction, it'll be halfway in about 5 laps.
I don't know why my fault. I don't know why I said that. My fault. Anyway, Robbie Gordon in the 31 car, your race leader. Kind of didn't math there.
Is that Mark Martin?
That would be Mark Martin in the 28 car in third, yes. Followed by Leffler in the 00.
Mark really hasn't been anything flashy this season.
Just kind of brought the car home every week, you know? That's really all he has done. He's about 25th in the points, trying to find his first top 10 this year, as a matter of fact. trying to find his footing. Hasn't been too terrible of a year, but definitely hasn't been outstanding. But running up front at the moment, stuck on the outside now, though, as he got filtered out by the 00, who is getting aggressive, looking for second on the 83 of Sadler, while Robbie Gordon continues to lead.
Many rumors are pointing to Jason Leffler maybe getting a promotion this year.
Yeah, Leffler already splitting the 00 car with Boris Said, that car moving on to go full-time this year after spending the better part of the last few seasons part-time, and expecting him to maybe be full-time in Cup next year. There is a lot of rumors around that. So we will see what happens with him. He's currently splitting this car, as we said, with Said, and running the 18 for Alliance teammate, or Alliance team Gibbs in the 18 currently in the Grand National Series, but running the better part of around 22 plus races this year is the plan for him in that Dr. Pepper 00, leading a lap here. Led some laps in the 500 earlier this season and has had some good runs on his side this year. The 00 car has looked pretty quick so far up to this point in the season, and definitely doing their part in that Haas garage, who have really looked up and coming over the last few years. A couple of Hendrick cars right behind this 00, 55 and 44, as well as the 4. Hank Parker Jr. in the Morgan McClure Hendrick Align 4 car. Running right behind these guys, looking to maybe try to get underneath the 44, but will stay in line. A lot of Chevrolets once again up front right now. It is all Chevys in the top 6 and 5 Chevrolets lined up on the bottom in the top 5 now, as John Wood will spoil 6th place Robbie Gordon. Leaving turn 2. This next time by, it'll be 30 laps to go here from Talladega. And now hitting that halfway mark in just a little bit.
Here comes Truex making a move.
Outside pole sitter Truex in the 8 on the bottom, helping the 55 of Sprague out to the lead. Maybe trying to take the lead himself, but Sprague manages to cover him off.
They're trying to go 4 wide in the back.
88 car of Junior came in to get damage repairs, expecting they were trying to patch up the rest of that right side that was bent in. So tough break for Junior, who will drop a lap down. Just now leaving the pits. Pretty long pit stop for him there. Tough weekend for a lot of the faster drivers in the field here today so far.
But that's got a lot of these smaller teams licking their chops.
Definitely does, and we're seeing a lot of them up front here today. Leaving turn 4 right now with Sprague in the lead over Truex Jr. Couple of Busch Series promotions going into this season. Of course, Sprague with a lot more experience in that 8 of Truex, but nonetheless, still promoted from the Hendrick program in the 24 car, in which he won a couple of championships in the Busch Series, and now running here with the Cup team. Top 5 now single file. Back to the 81 of Bliss in 5th, and we'll be back to 6th now as Kane gets clear. Gonna see some shiftings here as Truex will try to shoot for the lead. 2 Fords of Wood and Montgomery leave each other out. Here's the 8 of Truex on the bottom for the race lead. As we mentioned, outside pole sitter here today, and he has first off of turn number 4. But Montgomery is going to shuffle him out and look for the lead himself.
With Alliance teammate Casey Kane behind him, he will lead that lap.
Montgomery's been pretty impressive this season, it has to be said. He came in as an injury sub for the hurt Johnny Sauter and has been running this season with the 68 team and has turned some heads. Of course, the 68, not one of the fastest cars on the grid, but Montgomery's made it work, and he's only running the first 12 races of this season until Sauter comes back from injury, of course, but has done a good job, and the garage really seems to like him. He's done a good job in that 68 car. Might we see him in the Busch Series after his term in that Dollar General 68 is up remains to be seen, but has done a good job in that car here today, and the whole season.
We've heard rumors that there were a few Craftsman Truck Series teams that were knocking on the door trying to open up Busch cars.
That we have heard of that, so he could be a candidate for that. We will see. Running in the 6th position right now as he got filtered up to the outside after leading that lap. Casey Kane in the 38-year race leader down the backstretch. And that isn't going to last long as here comes Kurt Busch, although nobody went with him. But he should have enough of a run to stay with this 38 car into 3, and he does. Now the 96 and 51 will duck with him. Green and Eric Norris on the bottom. 77, 48 right behind.
Quietly had a really good day. He's been running top 5 almost this entire race.
Yeah, had himself not too bad of a day in that 51 car. And the 88 of Dale Jr., who pit earlier, currently sitting with the 22 of Marlin and drafting with him, just reported a vibration over the radio, so it's a bad day gone even worse for this 88 car. He's just having a struggle fight of a day here today, already a lap down. Could potentially be 2 here soon with the field slowly catching up. And a vibration to go on top of it. Just tough day for him. Kurt Busch sitting out in front of the 96 of Green, who runs 2nd. Field mostly double file right now, and in fact entirely double file. Nice and calm at the moment as these laps continue to wind down here from Talladega.
And something that a lot of people begin to notice is that as we get deeper into these races, that time ticks away. And so does these drivers' patience.
That it does. You start to get a little more antsy as the race goes on, and when we're approaching the final 20 laps or so in the near future. Interesting to see how it goes for these guys. Todd Bodine just jumped out on the bottom for 3rd. Newman, his Alliance teammate, did not go with him. 12 sticks up top. Much to his detriment as he starts to fall backwards. 77 into 3rd. Couple of Pontiacs behind this 01 car as here comes Atwood to try to take P3. Kurt Busch led 3 to 4 laps in a row here now. Comfortably leading this race over that 96 machine.
A lot of push and pull, a lot of give and take this race.
Yeah, it seems the field might have calmed down just a little bit after that early crash that saw us take out a couple of the main points leaders, so field has been a lot calmer, and of course, unsurprising given that we've seen less drivers in this pack, just over 30 in this group, and we're seeing some pit stops here. Jack Sprague, the only one who came in, and he checked up a lot of the back end of the field. That took multiple people out of the pack because he was pitting from right in the middle there, and nobody else went with him. 97, 00, 26, 4, 21 all dropped out of the pack. Bliss, Wood, Truex Jr. That took nearing 10 cars out of the lead pack there as the 55 came into the pits.
And I believe 77, the 17 fell out of the pack early. 99's out of the race. And the 6 and the 97 just got
dropped out of this lead pack. Yes, they did.
This is...
And we're seeing some more. 96 pitted from the top. That checks up the field again as Truex Jr. comes to the back of this pack. Might pull some of the guys from further back in. And splits up the top 8 from the rest of the field. Seeing a lot of guys having to pit from the very outside line.
That's gonna, I mean, that's playing with fire. That's gonna cause a wreck at some point.
Yeah, definitely. So now the top group's separated as Kurt Busch is still leading this race. A much larger pack at the back end of the field. Thanks
A
to all
much
these
larger
guys
pack
pitting.
going 4 wide.
Briefly 4 wide as they headed towards turn 3. That was Terry Labonte and Eric Norris in the middle of that mess. And more drivers with hands out the window as we approach another chance at pitting. Here is Biffle and Newman, as well as Kane, Bliss, Bodine all coming in. And a couple more get split up and have to check up. Seeing a lot of that thanks to some of those drivers who pit in and stayed out. The split strategy under the caution. The leader, Kurt Busch, also came into the pits.
And now it becomes a game. Of pack management.
30 of Atwood is now your leader. Here comes Regan Smith with a huge run. Up underneath the 30 for first. And he's going to have that spot. 20 laps to go at the line here from Talladega. Lap car, Hank Parker Jr. up in front of these leaders. Pretty much all the guys who are a part of that 11 that stayed out have come in now, so it's 3 separate packs of leaders who have been separated, a group of about 8 to 10 in every single one of these packs. All trying to find a way to work together and get recouped after that group of race leaders came into pit. And we're seeing a couple of separated packs of the rest of the race leaders who are rejoining the racetrack that had came in. Kurt Busch, who had held the lead for a while there, joining this pack of drivers who were damaged and or lapped. 88-22 has the 18 and 96 with him. Those are clean race cars. And another larger pack here. This is a group mixed of the main actual race leaders, as Kevin Harvick, I believe, had the lead at the line. He did. 3 lap cars in front of him, 81, 4, and 77. Who are all in this mix, racing with the race leaders who haven't pit yet. And it'll be interesting to see if the leaders are going to have to pit at all.
I mean, that's the gamble you take. All these people, I believe they pit on lap 11.
Yes, they did. So I do believe we will be expecting to see these guys pit one more time. There are well over 11 laps to go. It was around 20 or more when that last cycle started. But we still got a handful of laps to get there. And those guys who pitted in just now are split up amongst smaller packs, so we're probably going to lose time to these leaders.
And not only that, these leaders aren't gonna have to pit for as long.
That they are. Definitely keen, worth noticing there. This secondary pack here, just behind the main section of the top 10, starting to catch up to the leaders who are a little bit of a ways in front. And the tertiary pack is a little bit further behind, running slightly slower laps, but definitely not too far off the pace, so they might have a chance to catch up. We'll see. Still Kevin Harvick in the 20-year race leader. Sitting in front of Wimmer, who's in second, and third belongs to Atwood in the 30 car. As this race continues to run down. Another lapper up in front, that's the 21 of Andretti. And they might split him up the middle here. No, inside line will instead just pick him up. That is Atwood in the 30, taking the 21 in. As Harvick skirted around him.
Love to hear this.
Yeah, they're definitely catching up in a hurry right now and are definitely going to make a appearance up here with the rest of the top 10 in just a moment. Running much faster laps right now to make it about a 15-car race for the race lead that currently belongs to the 20 of Kevin Harvick.
And even still, all these guys still have to pit.
That they do.
And when you have lappers interspersed with this could get really messy really quickly.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
But the second group is here.
Group number 2 beginning to join this pack and have officially caught up to the leaders to make it around a 20-car pack plus the lappers.
Who will more than likely gain enough speed to eclipse that third pack.
We will see. Todd Bodine, a lap car right behind the 20. Here's McMurray, who for a while was off of the lead pack of about 30 cars when we went back green. Managed to catch his way back up with the 78 and is now once again a member of this front group, running in second. Third belongs to Smith. And fourth is side-by-side between the 81 and 30 as the 4-car of Hank Parker Jr. is lapped. McMurray going to take the 2 with him to get around this lap car, the 77 of Bodine. Right now, it is 15 laps to go here from Talladega as this race continues to wind down. Still expecting these leaders to make their final pit stop. Kevin Harvick has led quite a few laps in a row now, but has a challenge behind him in form of the 40 and 2. As Jamie McMurray in the 40 car right behind that 20 of Harvick. Single file through the top 5 now, including the lap car Bliss fourth in line. Regan Smith going to try to make his own move for second place as he gets underneath the 40. Takes a 68 of Montgomery with him. All the while, Harvick continues to lead this race.
But do you even want to lead? I wouldn't even want to pass the 20. Every lap you're leading, that's more fuel you're using, and that's the longer your pit stop will be.
Yeah, definitely, and it would mean that also Harvick would have to pit earlier with less help. So it might be the move to just intentionally lose the lead here. He's led maybe 6 or 7 laps in a row at this point, but seems comfortable out front, so he's just kind of hanging out there right now. We'll see what the move is for him, and they're
like
continuing to fight for second.
Harvick really playing the role of a Pied Piper out here.
Guess he just feels most comfortable in the lead. Another pack of slower cars up in front. 4 of the guys who would pit. 12, 16, 55, 38, a little bit of a ways in front of these leaders. Running similar lap times to this top group right now. This race continuing to wind down. Battle is still for second place. Montgomery tried to block Robbie Gordon for second, but couldn't do it. 31 gets underneath him. Another lapper, 77, as well as the 21 car. Leaders still yet to pit. And this pack up in front just picked up the 22 car who fell off of the pack in front of him. Of course, as we mentioned, Marlin a little bit damaged, so unsurprising that he's just a little bit off of the pace. Not slow enough to fail minimum speed, but not super quick at the moment. Battle for the lead. Finally, Harvick going to cough up that top spot as here comes Robbie Gordon to try to take first away from his ex-teammate. And seeing the 22 come in right there, the 17 had also pit the lap prior. So now we're seeing the lead group start to trickle in with 10 laps to go here from Talladega. Robbie Gordon in the race lead over Scott Wimmer in second. Third, a battle between Rudd and Harvick as Parker Jr., the 4-car, lap down in between these guys.
It's Mark Martin trying to take it 3.
It's going to work for him. He gets the bottom. Seeing guys move up to give space, expecting this group to pit in here. 28 comes in. You can see why he took it 3 wide. Man, Sadler found a way through the middle there, lost speed doing so. He drops off of the lead pack. So a couple more come in. Robbie Gordon and Wimmer still out on the racetrack, as well as Harvick in the 20.
And now the game is when do you pick? Do you try and stretch it out the rest of the race?
They're pretty close, and we're also seeing these guys, their pit stops are about 3 seconds quicker on fuel than the guys who pit earlier. So it's probably going to come down to all the guys who were in this lead pack. Lapper Eric Norris leaving the pits right in front of the leaders. And they had to check up for him. Robbie Gordon got around the 51. Ooh, that was tight with the 23. A lot of guys lost a ton of time that's staying out there. Ricky Rudd, the only one of the race leaders who is still on the racetrack in that main pack, and he lost a ton of time doing so, having to hold up for the guys coming down from the top lanes. So Robbie Gordon, 31 car in. And away goes the race leader. Harvick, a very slow exit there, got in the way a couple of those guys. Jimmy Johnson got held up a long way. So Robbie Gordon trying to win the race off of pit road here. Believe he will by a comfortable margin. So this race down to just a handful of drivers. Tight spot here. 21 car has a problem. That's a fuel leak on the 21 machine. Andretti having an issue. Expecting him to probably come in. Keep an eye on that 21 machine, but we will stay green. He's not very off the pace right now. Getting back up to speed. Ricky Rudd leaving the pits. Will be overtaken by the top two, who are just Robbie Gordon and Scott Wimmer, the only two out in front here, who are a long way in front of the rest of the top 5. That's 5-0-28.
Can the second group catch? Do they have the time?
That's going to be the question. It could come down to just 31-23, but it's going to be tough to say. Robbie Gordon trying to win 3 races in a row right now. And all the while, Scott Wimmer trying to pick up his 3rd career win.
Who's the last person that's won 3 in a row?
Don't even recall, honestly. It's been a long time since that last happened, but this rest of the top 5 is catching up to the race leaders quick. And the rest of the top 10 or so are within a line here, headed by Regan Smith as they pass the 33 car of Ricky Rudd. They're going to take each other 3 wide here. It'll be 5 laps to go at the line, and the leaders continue to swap each other while the rest of the top 5 are catching up.
Can Christian Elder try and win this thing?
Might take a crack at it. And he will these guys will definitely catch up. We'll see if the rest of the top 10 catch up. I think they will. 5 to go. Robbie Gordon in the lead. A huge run down the backstretch by the 0 of Elder, but he gets taken side by side by Hendrick. And Wimmer going to block the run of the 5.
Masterful block by the 23 car right there.
One of the best plate racers in the field, leaving turn 4 as he's got the lead. Hendrick trying to take it 3 wide, couldn't. Coming to the line, 4 laps to go with the 23 in first.
And this is quite possibly one of the most. If you're going to be leading at a track like this, this is what you want to be doing. You got a friendly lap car behind you, and you got a small pack. Very hard to make a run with these small packs.
Mark Martin trying to make something happen from third. Ricky Hendrick ducks low for the lead.
But Ricky Hendrick doesn't have any help.
Not sure if it's going to end up mattering because the 22 gave a gap to the 31. Not a lot of speed out of that car, of course. He's got a little bit of damage on the front end. 3 to go at the line. The rest of the top 10 have joined this lead pack. Hendrick with the lead by a nose. Side by side into turn 1. Couple of Chevys on the bottom. Hendrick trying to take the lead away, and he has it.
Ricky Hendrick has been out here this entire season trying to prove that last year was no fluke.
But here comes Robbie Gordon on the bottom, 4 wide behind the leaders, as here comes the 33 of Rudd with a huge run. Forces the 20 up top. But he gets taken up to the middle. Here comes Regan Smith on the bottom lane, the rookie. 2 laps to go. Robbie Gordon's got the lead at the stripe.
And Ricky Hendrick, an admirable fight on the high line. I believe that's a lap car in the near distance.
3 lappers up the road, 89, 17, 78. They will not be slow enough to impede these leaders. Harvick, the dominant car of the day, trying to take the lead away on the bottom as they go side by side into turn 3.
And it's Harvick taking the lead.
But don't look now. Here's the rookie Regan Smith trying to get underneath him. Couldn't do it into the trioval. They crossed the line. Last lap here at Talladega. Harvick's got a teammate behind the 2. Can Regan Smith build a run to get underneath this dominant 20 car as they round turn 4 down the backstretch for the final time?
Turn 2.
Here comes Regan Smith on the bottom, blocking the 18. Down towards turn 3 with the Daytona 500 winner behind him. Regan Smith trying to take the lead away. He's got it in turn 3. Headed towards turn 4 for the final time. Can Regan Smith hold everybody off? 18 versus 2 as they come down towards the stripe. The Daytona 500 winner trying to pass the 2, but it's not going to be enough. The rookie Regan Smith will take it to victory lane here at Talladega. What a victory for the 2 team.
Just steals a win. When was the last time that 2 team has seen victory lane?
It's been a long, long time.
I think they got a lot of celebrating to catch up on.
Regan Smith, the rookie, passing the dominant car of the day and blocking the Daytona 500 winner. A couple of teammates outdoes Gibbs, and he wins it. His first career NASCAR Coca-Cola Cup Series win, and there is no better fashion to do it. What a win for that 2 team here tonight. And you just have to say that was a perfectly placed block on the 18 of Bobby Labonte to win that race.
It's textbook. It's just the way you do it. It's one of those things about plate racing. You either have a feel for it or you don't.
And just what a move to win it. On the very last lap, sandwiched between two teammates. Timed it absolutely perfect. You could tell Bobby wanted to get underneath him, and he threw the block at exactly the right time. Nothing Harvick could have done about it, and the 18 couldn't form enough of a run to get underneath him down to the stripe. And Regan Smith has finally put that two team back in victory lane. It was a long time coming.
There was a lot of people that thought that Regan just wasn't gonna put it together. That he was just gonna be another busted driver that falls out of the sport after a couple of mediocre seasons. Maybe that might be true. But this win, he'll always have this win.
That he will. Doesn't matter if it's a plate track. You put it all together, and a win as iconic as that, and a car as iconic as that. What a way to do it. First career win for Regan Smith here at Talladega as he takes the checkered flag here tonight. Next week, race number 9. It'll be Las Vegas for the UAW Daimler Chrysler 400. We'll catch you then. I'm Caden Reif. On behalf of Braden in the booth with me tonight, we'll see you then. And as always, have yourself a good one.
It's a long way to the top.